3:33 a.m. is often associated with various creepy and paranormal theories. If you wake up on this time, you should be aware. In folklore and some forms of mysticism, 3:33 a.m. is sometimes referred to as the witching hour. It's believed to be a time when supernatural forces, spirits, and dark entities are at their most powerful. It's a common belief that paranormal activity is more likely to occur at 3:33 a.m. This idea is perpetuated in various ghost stories and urban legends, suggesting that spirits are more active and able to communicate with the living during this hour. Did you experience something scary at this time? Let me know in the comments.
Last month I got home late one night after hanging out with my sister, brother-in-law, and a few of their friends. I walked up to the stoop and saw my mom left a note on the door telling me to take out the garbage cans to the front. I made a point of being really quiet since mostly everyone was asleep by that time. When I got to the side of our house by the garbage cans, I could hear voices coming from our backyard. I took a peek over the top of the fence. There were two people standing by our patio table. I was freaked out. You could understand why. I had to run inside to tell my mom. My dad doesn't live with us, otherwise I would have gotten him. We only made it out her bedroom door when we noticed the two people from the backyard coming up the steps. I shoved my mom to the window, basically forcing her to jump out onto the tiny ledge below. I somehow got her to do so, and while hopping out myself, the two intruders entered the room. I only caught the briefest glimpse at them before hopping down to the ledge myself and then down to the grass. Me and my mom booked it to the neighbor's house. 2 weeks later, when we had just started to move past the incident, the sound of the phone ringing at 3 a.m. woke me. It kept ringing non-stop. It didn't go to voicemail. My mom got up after like the 10th ring. We looked at each other and let it be. The phone rang for another good 10 minutes straight until my mom finally yanked the phone cord out of the modem. We slept with it off that night. I was sure it had something to do with the break-in. Two weird things like that don't happen so close together without them being linked somehow. The next day, my mom got a text message on her phone. It said, "Why didn't you pick up?" This was only a week ago, and we're still shitting ourselves, worrying when the next incident might happen.
So this next story was sent in by Stephanie on TikTok, so shout out Stephanie. Hi, my name is Stephanie, and I want to tell you about what happened to me a few days ago. I was going to my aunt's house, and when I got there, my cousin was in the living room. My aunt and my other cousin were in the room. I was going to the room my cousin and aunt were at, and while walking through the hallway, I saw my other cousin there, but he was just standing there playing his video games as usual. I said hi to him, and he didn't respond back, which was really weird to me because he always said hi back, but I didn't think much of it. After a while, I saw my aunt checking my cousin's location, and I was like, "Why are you checking his location when he's home?" And my aunt was like, "He's with your uncle looking at new cars." And I wasn't really scared in that moment, knowing my aunt likes to scare me sometimes. So I looked at her phone, and my cousin was like an hour away from home. I went to go check the other room because I thought there was a glitch or something, but when I got there, the room was pitch black. That room always gave me the goosebumps, so I don't know what I saw, but it definitely was not my cousin.
The worst video on the dark web. This man is contacted on the internet for a horror escape game in a secret location. When he gets there, he comes across this terrifying thing.
Oh my God.
Whatever goes through here, the place is all yours. I'm going. No, you've got to be kidding me. I'm just trying to leave like you wanted. I'm sorry.
This is part 2 of 3 of Pedro Santana's story. When I got back to the house, I could see a man standing in the yard in front of the house from the road. I thought it was strange, but I just assumed it was an uncle, but I was wrong. I called the man Theo even though I didn't know who he was. I was never able to get a good look at him, but for some reason I felt comfortable, like I was close to him. I told him what I had experienced, and he told me let's go back and check it out. And so we did. Nothing but silence could be heard when we got back to the spot where I'd heard the weeping woman. We walked to the other end of the village, and a guy on a motorcycle appeared out of nowhere. He passed us, and as he did, he just stared at us. When I mean stare, I mean like he stared at us like he had seen a ghost. His face of shock and disbelief said it all. The guy looked back at us after we had passed each other, and he decided to turn back around and stop ahead of us, only to look back at us again before finally driving off. The man I had met in the yard and I returned back home, and when we got there, I went to give the man a hug, and as soon as I hugged him, I glanced up and noticed it was my favorite uncle. I was surprised but scared because the man I had been with the entire time was not my uncle, but someone or something else.
Disappearing Act. Paranormal investigator Alberto from the YouTube channel Alberto Del Arco travels to a long-abandoned warehouse in Mexico. Locals claim to have no explanation or idea of what this location was used for or why it's abandoned. Many suspect that the structure was used for horrific illegal activities, such as hiding or disposing of the remains of the deceased. Some believe that this dark activity might have left the warehouse extremely haunted, and most people prefer to stay far away from the creepy site. Those who have dared to explore the creepy location claim to have witnessed shadows, heard ear-piercing screams, and some even say that they have fled from the sound of footsteps that seem to be following them, getting closer and closer. Together with his two cameramen, Alberto Del Arco goes to investigate the alleged haunting. It doesn't take long before the guys begin to hear strange sounds and witness some very frightening activity.
Está muy raro. Ahí hay otro tambo. Hay mucha tierra. Entonces, esto ha ayudado para que también muchas personas... ¡Hijo de su madre! ¿Qué fue, güey? Vino de allá arriba, ¿no? Allá hay varios. Ay, güey, me dolió todo. Me asusté. Pudiera haber gente, ¿eh? De pronto pudiera haber personas que se meten. Al parecer ya se han robado partes de este sitio. Se ve algunas zonas quemadas.
A heavy gas can slams to the ground as if thrown from somewhere nearby. But that's not the only creepy thing that happens in this clip. Did you see it? Right above Alberto's head, a dark shape can be seen quickly peeking out. But when they go to check inside the room, there's no one there. Alberto and his team are completely unaware of what they've just captured. They continue their investigation of this strange warehouse, but as they explore inside, the cameraman captures something absolutely shocking.
Esto me imagino que eran una especie de tinas o contenedores, ¿sabes? Y mira, ahí hay unos ductos. Pero, ¿qué tenían aquí? ¿De qué era esta fábrica? Lo curioso es que ya preguntamos con los vecinos y nadie sabe exactamente qué es lo que había en este lugar. La temperatura sigue bajando, 22.2 de 22.9. Sí, baja muy rápido, baja muy drástico. Atrás de ti. ¿Qué fue? ¿Qué fue? A ver, puede haber gente, ¿eh? Atrás de ti. ¿Qué fue? ¿Qué fue? ¿Qué fue? A ver, puede haber gente, ¿eh? Hola. ¿Lo tienes con tu cámara? ¿Lo tendrás con tu cámara? Hola. Pero eso está muy alto, ¿no? Digo, como para brincarle. Lo veo algo alto. Por allí hay escaleras, mira. Cuidado, Tony, ten cuidado, no te vas a caer.
As the camera turns down a hallway, what looks like a pale, creepy figure can be seen quickly darting out of sight. When the team hurries over to investigate, they discover just how high the area is above the ground. For something to have been peeking around that corner, it would have had to be at least 7 or 8 feet tall. A little later into the investigation, and the three friends witness something else that is truly bizarre.
No entiendo. A ver, ¿hay alguien ahí parado, no? Allá, 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 allá. ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué fue eso? ¿Qué fue eso? Allá soy algo. A ver, allá. A ver, con cuidado. Con cuidado, con cuidado, con cuidado. Hay alguien allá. ¿Hola? ¿Hola? Buenas noches. Ok, yo no sé ni para dónde ir. Tú ve para allá, Tony, yo creo. Y ten cuidado, Memo. Sí. ¿Ves algo, Tony? ¿Se salió? Güey, yo vi a alguien parado, güey. Vi a alguien parado ahí. Sí. Hay algo cerca.
Alberto and his team watch as someone seems to walk away from them. At first, they believe this is simply a stranger who is also exploring the factory. But when they reach the area where they saw the dark figure of a man, again, there's just no one there. Cut to a bit later, and one of Alberto's cameramen claims that he sees something move in the brush.
No entiendo, pero pareciera que hay algo aquí. Digo, tal vez... Es que no sabemos qué fue esto. Pero pudiera haber algún tipo de... ¿Qué, güey? ¿Qué? ¿Qué pasó? ¿Dónde? ¿Aquí? Pues a ver, alumbra un poquito para allá. ¿Viste algo? Cuidado, puede haber muchos animales.
Things just get more and more absurdly bizarre as a hand seems to reach out from the darkness and grab what appears to be either a cloth or an old paper. So, did the team capture evidence of paranormal activity at the mysterious warehouse? Or is it all just an elaborate hoax? You decide. You can watch this full video and many more creepy investigations over on the YouTube channel, Alberto Del Arco. Thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter here, on Instagram there, and on TikTok right there. See you next week.
And this is the final part of Pedro Santana's story. The next morning, I woke up really late, around 12 p.m. And when I walked outside, I saw my family gathered, looking at the house across the street. They told me that the old lady across the street died last night. Where I'm from, death is a woman in black, and she will appear when death is near, and she might even at times appear in white. Therefore, when you see or even get a chance to hear her, you must run, because even death mistakes her victims. Anyways, I didn't tell anyone about the incident. The morning before we left, people claimed that they saw Death standing on top of a tree looking directly at our house. That same morning, on the radio, they gave out a warning for all drivers about dense fog and wandering souls that linger and hop into your car. We drove with caution that morning, wondering if Death was out to get me or if I had escaped her successfully. And I even started questioning what that man on his motorcycle saw to be so shocked and seemingly afraid of. I've never gone out for a walk at night since the incident.